Hello everyone, thank you very much for joining us on our Tuesday TNT. Already into the week and things are starting to move as far as the new Thai Parliament's concerned. Now, as is sort of our want these days, we'll be putting all the political news at the end of the program in a block, and you can check with the timestamps underneath to find where that is. Suffice to say that Thai PBS World is reporting that His Majesty the King presided over the inauguration of the Parliament. So the new Parliament has been, I suppose, blessed by His Majesty the King in a big ceremony. We'll speak more about that later, including the election of a House Speaker. So that's been sorted out, but we'll get to that later on in the program. But other news around today and more follow-up from that horrific incident last Thursday. And BangkokPost.com reports, and I think worryingly so, police still awaiting video recordings of horrific airport accident, and police are still waiting for security camera recordings in their investigation of the horrific accident in which a boarding passenger lost part of her leg after it became trapped in a moving walkway at Don Mueang Airport last week. Now, the chief of the Don Mueang police said yesterday that airport management had been asked to provide the camera footage soon after the accident last Thursday, but investigators had still not received it. He said that it was important to the investigation, obviously, and he had ordered them to repeat the request and ask the airport authorities if there was any problem preventing them complying. Investigators were compiling witness accounts and other evidence to find out how the woman traveller became so seriously injured. Doctors were keeping the maimed woman in a sterile, isolated environment to prevent any chance of infection, so police had still not been able to question her. If nothing else, this is just a really bad look as far as the Don Mueang Airport is concerned. What is the problem? I think some serious questions need to be asked why that footage wasn't available to the police instantly so that an investigation could proceed quickly. Obviously, there are some important questions to be asked, and it's very important that we make sure that this type of incident doesn't happen again. And the story goes on saying the main issue is the operation of the moving walkway. Did it operate normally? If it was normal, how did the accident happen? Well, these are the questions, and it's important that we get to the bottom of it. Management of the Don Mueang Airport has been cooperative with police in the past, he said. Reflects badly on the airport management, and if they've cooperated with the police in the past quickly and expeditiously, why aren't they doing it now? On June the 29th, a 57-year-old woman lost part of her left leg when it became trapped in the end of a moving walkway in the domestic terminal at Don Mueang Airport. She was using the walkway to get to her booked flight to the southern province of Nakhon Si Thammarat. Now, afterwards, the airport management said it was one of 20 moving walkways installed at the Don Mueang Airport in 1996 and said they had all been well maintained despite their long use. Now, we know when an aeroplane is of that sort of age, by the time it gets to over a couple of decades, almost every part of that aeroplane has been replaced. So really, the aeroplane you see flying in the air is almost a totally different aeroplane than the one that was launched decades earlier. You'd imagine with this type of machinery, you'd hope the same thing was happening, where the mechanics were changed over time to make sure that they were sort of up to date. And I suppose it's also been noted by some of the commenters that the safety devices and the activation may not be part of that type of design from 27 years earlier. But that's the latest in that story, reported by BangkokPost.com. Going to our next story now, and this from PattayaMail.com. Thailand mulls extending diesel tax reduction set to expire on July the 20th. And a decision's yet to be reached on whether to extend the diesel tax measure set to expire on July 20, with the government recently directing the Ministry of Finance to evaluate the feasibility of such an extension. Well, that, of course, is the caretaker government and the caretaker Ministry of Finance, and I'm sure they don't want to be responsible for making any decisions at the moment. Such a big decision like continuing that excise. given that the next government is literally days away, and I'm sure they'll just be sitting back on their chairs scrolling through their Facebook rather than being forced into a decision at this time. The article goes on, there have nevertheless been recommendations against renewing the tax in favour of letting diesel prices float, given the recovering state of the Thai economy and subsidising global oil market trends. These recommendations have been acknowledged and will be considered along with other factors. I think one of those factors is that they are in that caretaker role. My bet is that they're probably not going to continue that excise that's been costing the government and will eventually the taxpayers millions and millions of baht to keep those diesel prices down over the last few years. We go now to cowsodenglish.com. Jack Ma of Thailand is sentenced to over 1,000 years for fraud. A case I've not heard of before, but it looks like he's going to be spending a little bit of time breaking big rocks into little rocks. And Prasit Jerwok, a billionaire businessman who called himself the Jack Ma of Thailand, was sentenced to prison by the court for fraud. He's previously tried to flee. The story says that Prasit built his fortune in the tourism industry before expanding into the online sector. He then entered the airline and real estate businesses. Prasit's also known to be a royalist and has close ties to the Thai army. Sounds like he's a very busy boy indeed. He's accused by progressive political groups of being part of the Army's information operation. What in earth is the Army's information operation? Something I'd like to know a bit more about, maybe in the comments section. Some of you might know what's being referred to as IO, the Army's information operation. Going on, the Thai court read the verdict via video conference to Prasit, who was imprisoned in Nonthaburi province. Prasit was not in court because he'd already tried to escape with two other accomplices in late 2022, but was arrested in time. Prasit, along with We Love Your Bag, Beyond World and 9 other suspects were charged with violating the Royal Decree on Fraudulent Borrowing and the Computer Crime Act. The perpetrators used false advertisements to trick their victims into investing in or trading luxurious items. Some of the brand names included Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes, I think there should be Hermes, Gucci and others. They claimed that victims would receive a return of 40 to 51% per year, and the total losses amount to over 1 billion baht. And the court sentenced Prasit to 5 years in prison for each count. He was convicted on a total of 321 counts, which is equivalent to 1,155 years in prison. However, the law provides for a maximum prison term of 20 years, so Prasit must serve 20 years in prison. So the Jack Ma of Thailand, behind bars for 20 years. As to those ads below, I really have no idea what they are. I didn't look at the time. Be aware that I'm not responsible for those ads you do see below the stories. We have a thing called programmatic advertising, which means that Google Ads will put different ads on your news feed, and this is pretty much across most web pages. And those programmatic ads are contextual to your previous searches and sometimes relative to the article. But mostly it's about your previous searches. So I'm not responsible for some of those perhaps sometimes inappropriate ads that you might see accompanying stories. Now, a big thank you to 5 Star Marine, their ongoing support, been most appreciated. The weather here in Phuket at the moment, we had a bit of rain last week, but the great weather has returned and it looks like we're going to get no rain until at least this weekend. So people heading out onto Phang Nga Bay today are going to get a magnificent day with good weather and some of those turquoise waters as they visit the beaches. If you'd like to head out with 5 Star Marine, there's a link in the description under this video, gives you a special deal. And thanks for joining us on our Tuesday TNT. Just an invitation to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. It doesn't cost you anything. We're not going to send you emails or anything, but it does help the YouTube algorithm. So I'm told. I'm going to our next story now, and this is from decrypt.co. It says Thailand follows Singapore, bans crypto exchanges from offering lending services. And Thailand's the second Southeast Asian nation to announce a ban on crypto exchanges offering lending services, as the country's regulators put investor protection at the forefront of their crypto strategy. And the wording of the announcement makes clear that the ban applies to depository services that offer returns to depositors and lenders, thus outright banning exchanges from offering both lending and staking services. And the note from the SEC says cryptocurrencies are high risk. Please study and understand the risks of cryptocurrencies thoroughly because you may lose your entire investment. Sadly, I do have some friends who invested in cryptocurrency over the last few years and did, in those cases anyway, lose their investment. And the regulator last year banned crypto payments but left the door open for consumers to invest in it as an asset. The new rules will come into effect on July the 31st. Sage advice from my father when it came to investment was, if you can't drive past it every day, don't invest in it. Going to art now, and this story from thepattaya.news.com. Pattaya Art Contest on Pattaya Beach draws many aspiring and top artists. And the event, which took place in front of Central Pattaya Shopping Centre on Sunday, was aimed at enhancing the artistic talents of youth, students and the general public, who had a passion for art and creative thinking. Under the theme Pattaya, the Essence of Colours, the contest gathered positive attention from art lovers around the country, with over 700 people at all levels participating, and the winners will be rewarded with a total prize money of 225,000 baht, with the highest prize being 50,000 baht. And the judging results will be released on July the 9th. Good luck to all the contestants. Looks like they're having a great time there. And one of the commenters yesterday made the comment, and he said at least they've found a good use for Pattaya Beach, which I thought was a little bit naughty, not a little bit funny. And so there they are, enjoying the beach, enjoying creating some art, and the winners will be announced on July the 9th. And you're watching TNT on a Tuesday. I should say I was up in Pattaya last year, and they have made big changes to the beaches up there. I understand that, of course, they're man-made, the reclamation of the beaches, but it's certainly looking a lot better. I just hope, or I wonder if when the next storm comes, some of those beaches are going to be washed away, but they're looking a lot better than they were, say, 4 or 5 years ago. Now, to our political news today, and the big story yesterday, we said at the start of the program, from ThaiPBSWorld.com, His Majesty the King presides over inauguration of the new Parliament, and His Majesty King Maha Vajiralongkorn presided over the opening of the Parliament yesterday, saying that how well the country prospers will depend on the MPs. And quoting His Majesty, I would ask all parliamentary members to remind themselves that they have been assigned by the people to represent the entire country in exercising their legislative power and to govern and enact laws in consideration of this principle in the administration of state affairs. And further down in that story, the acting Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and his cabinet, as well as newly elected MPs, were present at the event. So it's seen basically as the formal changeover from the old government to the new. And now to BangkokPost.com, move forward per Thai clinch House Speaker compromise. So yes, we do have a new House Speaker. Let's find out more. And there's the leader of the Move Forward Party, Peter, and the leader of the Per Thai Party, Cholnan, having a handshake. Move Forward Party and Per Thai have agreed to have Prachachat Party leader, Wan Muhammad Nurmatar, as the House Speaker, with Move Forward and Per Thai each having one deputy seat. And the 6 other coalition allies supported the decision. Prachachat is among the allies. And Peter, the leader of Move Forward, said this agreement is for unity among the 8 political parties who will do their best to nominate me as the Prime Minister. He also said Move Forward and Per Thai would amend laws to pardon people prosecuted for expressing their political opinions and to reform laws concerning the armed forces, including those concerning martial law and internal security. So this is just some of the new wording to frame the Article 112 in the Criminal Code, the lèse majesté law about insulting the monarchy, basically saying they're not going to repeal the Article 112, but they're going to lessen the severity of charges for some of the people, including pardoning people prosecuted for expressing their political opinions. And move forward, Pattaya endorse veteran politician Wan Muhammad for House Speaker. And the Move Forward and Pattaya parties have agreed to nominate Praja Party leader Wan Muhammad Noor Mattar as the sole candidate for the House Speakership, ending weeks of political wrangling over the position. With Wan Muhammad as Speaker of the House and both parties holding Deputy Speaker positions, they'll push legislation to grant amnesty to those charged with political offences and reform of the military. So given that they've reported this twice, and it was also repeated in other news articles, this fact that they're going to be granting amnesty to those charged with political offences was the big takeaway from yesterday's announcement of the House Speaker as Parliament convenes. And sometime over the next week or so, we'll also have a new Prime Minister. But at least that House Speaker situation has been sorted out. On to the next battle. And to this story, reported by CNN.com, an ad agency apologises for using footage of other countries in Philippines tourism video. And a Filipino ad agency has come under fire for using footage of other countries in a promotional video for the country's new tourism campaign, Love the Philippines. So you can see what's happened here. They were asked to put a video together. They couldn't afford a drone pilot, so they just dived into the stock footage and they typed in pretty tropical beaches and didn't really care where the pictures came from. In a statement, the department, that's the Department of Tourism in the Philippines, said they sought confirmation on the originality and ownership of all materials used in the video multiple times, and were repeatedly assured by the agency that everything was in order. But on Sunday, the advertising agency issued a statement profusely apologising for the highly inappropriate use of foreign stock footage in the video, which has since been taken down. And last year, tourism represented 17% of the Philippines' GDP, the World Travel and Tourism Council reported in June. And the new campaign aims to reintroduce what the country has to offer post-pandemic, which obviously includes nice tropical beaches, some of which might have been actually in the Philippines. Thanks for watching today. Hopefully you're a bit more up to date with things happening around Thailand. Please subscribe to the channel. Big thumbs up to 5-Star Marine. I've got a really busy day ahead, so I'm out of here. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you on Wednesday.